it's just going to be you tonight. And the idea was to go over demos and answer any questions or help folks out with whatever they had. And then I've got additional pro tips, which are not super necessary, but some are useful and can help you level up. We can cover those as we go. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what you put together and what you got so far.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want me to share my screen, or I can send the link as well?
Yeah, just steal the screen and you can walk us through it.
Okay, cool. Give me 1 second while I get that set up.
Cool. Anytime, I'm going to say.
Oh, it's disabled screen sharing.
Oh, jeez, it does that. I really need to figure out how to set the default to not. All right, you should be good now.
Okay. Oh, you're sharing your screen, so I can't.
Top share. All right, there we go.
All right, let's see. There we go. Cool. Am I live?
You're live.
All right, cool. So this is it. First and foremost, I have not yet implemented what's it called, responsive design to it yet. So it's not it's definitely not mobile friendly, and a lot of the buttons don't work yet. But this is essentially what I've come up with so far. A little like introduction there at first, background image, links to LinkedIn and GitHub there. The skills. Actually, the order of the sections is something I wanted to get feedback on. It is not necessarily the order. This is not necessarily the order that I would want it in, but kind of how I just started doing it. But these are skills and projects. This is how I have them featured for now, at least. And I think what I plan on doing is I plan on making them clickable, where you click on it and either a box appears on the screen that explains the project a little bit more, or just simply I can add some links to this to the GitHub or the actual live application itself. And then it's just followed by an about me.
Nice.
But yeah, that's it. It feels very minimal, very like short. And I don't know what else I can add to it to kind of beef it up. But that's what I have so far.
Yeah, this is a great start, and pretty much everything I was going to immediately say you already touched on regarding like getting the GitHub links and then any direct links to the actual projects there, and then the brief description on like the why, the solution, the value, and make sure you're touching on that, which you said you're working on getting that in there. I also liked how your GitHub link is above the fold. So above the fold is like the page loads, and anything you can imagine like you read the newspaper. So anything that would be above the fold on newspapers, whatever is loaded without having to scroll. And your LinkedIn and GitHub are there as well. Also, yeah, I mean, definitely you want to worry about the responsive. It's been interesting to me. Now, before responsive, people just open the site and then they'd say, yeah, it's only optimized for like screens of 600 pixels or whatever. And now everybody shows their stuff and they're like, don't judge me, it's not responsive yet. I haven't got that far. It's just like, it's become such the expectation, because it is, I mean, but it's just been interesting how that's changed. And when you said that, I was like, man, that's like everybody understands the importance and they're all like, don't judge me, and it's not responsive yet. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, that's, I actually heard like there are people that it's better practice to, I don't know how true this is, but some people develop with the mobile first layout. Like they they started off like developing what is this going to look like on a smaller screen, and then because it's easier to, you know, expand it out later versus the other way around. You know, but actually nothing that I've done is too hard. Like these boxes here will adjust according, like this is the most responsive that I've gotten so far, where these kind of adjust according to the size of the screen.
Yeah.
There, but you'll see here, this is like a big, not glitch, but I gotta tend to this. If this gets too small, like the image gets distorted, and you know, so I gotta fix that by stacking on top of each other. But yeah, it will get there. But yeah, like I said, like for right now, it still feels like I'm still curious as to like what else it is that I can add to it, right? To make it more interesting, or if it's good to just kind of keep it simple and like as it is, you know, like I don't know if it's important to add another section.
I would say when you get, I mean, what it's missing right now is just the descriptions and stuff on the projects. And I would say it's going to organically grow. Mm-hmm. So as you do more stuff and work on more things and identify which ones, one, you want to showcase in here, and then as those grow, like, and it can, and this thing can grow. I mean, your portfolio is now a portfolio item, so you can continue to like iterate on it. I wouldn't be too worried about like trying to jam pack it with a bunch of stuff. I mean, you mentioned order. I would put your projects above, like from your intro, scroll right down into your projects, and then dump skills to the bottom, right above your about. So I just swapped those two sections because what I'd be interested in if I saw this would be to go right into the stuff you've worked on. If I opened up and you linked me to the GitHub or one of those projects, and I just clicked out to say, oh, this looks interesting, and clicked out to it, I'm going to be able to look just by opening up the GitHub and see what language it is and what you programmed with and everything. So it tells me a lot more. Obviously, if you wrote it in Flask, I know you're fluent with Flask and Python and, you know, all these things. Yeah. It's good to have them listed there because you'll get like, you know, whether it's people specifically looking for keywords or just as kind of like a backup. Some things like you get to accessibility first, like that might not be as apparent in some of your projects, but it could be something that you're passionate about and are interested in, and somebody might see that and go, oh, like that's something I'd want to talk to you about, type of thing. Right. So I definitely think that having that stuff is relevant. I would just swap that so that I see your projects first. Yeah, and I wouldn't worry so much about trying to fill up the space on purpose, like over time, and as you just keep coming back and filling with this and learning new things, like it's going to organically develop into something. But I think this is a great start from nothing a couple weeks ago, type of thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I first launched it on Heroku, it was just my name up there on like an H1 element.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to do that, and then I'm not so sure about, like I like, you know, that this doesn't need to be on top. I just wasn't sure like what else would it, like you said, like do projects next. That makes sense. You know, like I don't think like the skills part is necessary because I don't want to emphasize too much the language aspect to it, because I just, more importantly, you know, I want to communicate that I'm you know, that I'm able to do other technologies, not necessarily the ones that I'm currently know how to do. And, you know, I think making it projects focused makes it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. I'll definitely do that. Is there like, do you know if I should add like a little like arrow here? Well, you know, one of those like wide V's that people have to kind of point that there's more to see if you scroll down?
I mean, it's like an aesthetic design decision type of thing. So that's up to you. It's not.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a design thing. Yeah.
A lot of times the arrow is just like you can click on it and it will bring you to the next section, but it's not a big deal at all.
Okay.
People should know. My suggestion is definitely add a way to contact you. somewhere. Just, at the bottom, you can even just do what I did on mine was literally a mail to anchor tag, and that was it. Like, I don't have a contact form or anything, but whatever you choose to do, just make sure they can contact you.
Cool. Yeah. Definitely have to add that to it.
We're going to try something out because Patrick and I talked about it. And this is a perfect time because I was like, oh, I want to share my screen too. There is a way to share multiple people, and we're going to see how this actually works.
Oh, boy.
Right now. So, Patrick, you're the guinea pig. Well, I mean, I'm sharing. George should be sharing. Can you see both our screens?
Hold on. Maybe.
Can I see other people's screens while I'm screen sharing? That's the real question.
I cannot see your screen, Paul.
I cannot either. Though it does tell me you're sharing your screen. Like the symbol under the participants thing. So maybe we just don't know how to navigate it. Okay, so I'm full screen right now. So when I go to that view options button, I can switch whose screen I want to look at. So I'm
but you can't look at them both at the same time.
That's so far what I'm figuring out.
I didn't necessarily want to take the screen share away.
So, so are you sure you said you're sharing your screen, Paul, right now?
I am.
Okay.
But I can't see yours either. So this is
okay. And then I guess Patrick has the option to toggle between the two.
Sounds that way.
Okay. I'll hop off.
Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to. I thought that was a good segue into. Actually, I mean, I guess I can do this. I can bring up your portfolio here and put them side by side. What was the link?
It's a portfolio hyphen J Weiss.
DISS Heroku.com.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then we can do this. All right, so that'll work for now. Yeah, so the just I was trying to use Patrick's comment as a segue to my first pro tip, which was contact form. He had said just mail toing the link, which will open the default email client of the whoever's viewing it.
Yeah.
You could also there's a myriad of them. You could also build your own. If you want to get into just server-side, contact form and write the server-side script. But there's FormSpree is a free, they have a free tier, and basically you just embed your form. It looks like this, and you set the action to whatever your form ID is in FormSpree, and then now you've got an actual contact form that somebody can submit, and you can have those submissions sent to you. So it just feels a little bit more all in one instead of people clicking it and launching any email client. The form is there, and they can just submit it like you would on any regular site.
Right.
So I just wanted to note that. Hashtag not sponsored, but that's an option. Also, programming your own. I think that's a nice little exercise in having a server-side component that actually does the mailing and then writing the HTML on the form. The only caveat on that is if it's hosted on Heroku, Heroku might not allow you to send email from their servers. So your only option would be to use a third party. So I'll just asterisk that. I'm not 100% sure, but that might be an issue there. The other items, so up here, somewhere in your nav, I'd link to a PDF version of your resume.
Okay.
This is often overlooked by people because it's here's my portfolio, here's my projects, everything's there. And 9 times out of 10, great, I didn't go to your like portfolio site to see a PDF version. But the benefit there is if I didn't have, maybe I did just come across your portfolio, maybe a link from your LinkedIn or from somewhere else you posted. Maybe you send an email to somebody and you have it tagged in your email signature. These are all places where you're going to put a link to your portfolio, not like a link or a copy of your resume. So you link to your portfolio, and then when I land here, I can just click and see resume, and as long as that's linked to a PDF and it opens in a new tab, now I can get an actual copy of your resume and download that or whatever. It's also beneficial to you. Not only is that link that you can send to somebody, it's just like, yeah, go to, here's my domain / portfolio, and you're going to get a copy of my portfolio. It's also been helpful to me when I've been not at my computer and at somebody else's computer and either needed to download or submit my resume. Yes, you could like add it to Google Drive or whatever, and I do that too, but this is also a very easy way to just go to my site and download it myself. So I've been my own customer in that aspect as well. So it's just something to think about adding there.
And then, but are you saying that, so just the PDF, like I have a link where if you click on it, it takes you to the PDF page, right? Or are you saying have that link click to another HTML page, and then there you have the option to download the PDF?
Just how Patrick has here. So he's got this button like to resume. Yeah. And if I click that, it just pops open the PDF here.
Okay.
So that suffices. And because the benefit there is every browser these days opens PDFs in a new tab generally. And the PDF view here allows me to download it, and I can do whatever I want with it here or print it, so on and so forth. So that suffices. I'll just do something like that.
Cool.
My next bullet point, analytics. So this is, if you start to get into web dev, one of my selling points behind web dev was always it's a marketing investment. It should be coming out of your marketing budget. We don't just throw up a website for the sake of having one. It's a marketing tool. We want to drive people to it. We want to see conversions, and we want to be able to measure that. And that's how you can prove an ROI. If I'm going to charge you, $5,000, $10,000 for this website, I need to be able to prove to you that you're going to make back, you're going to convert so many leads or so many sales or so many something that has made that investment worth it to you. So it's kind of an interesting take to do it specifically for a portfolio page, but I feel like the benefits can be the same, if at the very least interesting. For putting just like a Google Analytics tag, it's essentially analytics.google.com. Sign up, that's free, and they'll give you a script tag, and you just put that script tag in your HTML like you would anything else. Typically it's towards the top though, and you're good to go. It'll start tracking views and clicks and stuff like that. The added benefit is seeing like where people are coming to your portfolio from. So you're going to start posting it or just have it linked off of your LinkedIn or email signature, wherever it is. And you want to make sure this thing is working for you, that you've put it up there and that people are viewing it. So having analytics, there's no other easy way to do that or easier way to do that than just to have like Google Analytics. So you can go view the analytics, see how many views it had this week, where those views were coming from. If they're all coming from LinkedIn or direct links or something, you can start to see, oh, this is where people have found my portfolio from and came to the site. So that's always helpful just from a investment, like you're putting this time into it and you want people to see it type of thing. So kind of the same idea. The other thing here, Hotjar. So this is on page like tracking and heat maps. So what it does, this is something I always use with clients a lot to see how people are interacting with the page. So for example, we made the decision to swap these two because just based on historical data, and it makes the most sense that we want to, in context, it makes the most sense that we want to focus projects before skills. Say we didn't do that, and we had a heat map. This is also free. All these resources are the free versions or have free versions available. Install this. What you can see is, one, you can see where people click. So that's use their other screenshot. But there's like the different colors, so you can see, you know, how popular is this link versus this link versus this link, or how, in this case, if you had a resume button, you'd be able to see how often people are actually clicking that button. And if that's a popular, what you'll also see is scroll behavior. So you'll see like that gradient, cool to hot, going up and down here. And if it gets really hot, so typically above the fold is going to be pretty warm because that's where people are landing. Mm-hmm. But it gets cooler as it goes down because not everybody scrolls all the way down. And what you can see is how far most people are scrolling down. And let's say we left it as is, and this was as far, and then below this it just went ice cold. That means nobody is actually scrolling down to your projects. They're seeing your skills, and they're going, nope, never mind. And they're never actually seeing your portfolio, your projects. So that would tell us, oh, nobody's even seeing this stuff. Let's swap that. And then we would definitely want to make that decision at that point so that people are seeing the projects. Because what we'd want to see is we'd want to see people scrolling down to where our projects are, and we'd want to see clicks on the projects, interactions, because that shows us that like we're getting visitors, we're getting traffic, and then combined with the heat maps, we can see they're interacting and they're checking out our stuff. So these are all things that we would do for clients, you know, for businesses and who are actually making sales, and where these types of metrics matter, but we can still apply them, I believe, in this context, because you're essentially your own customer at this point. You're like, I'm putting these projects up, I want to show them to people because I think it demonstrates what I can do. I'm not doing that if nobody is clicking on these and checking them out, type of thing. You can see, you know, how many of your GitHub links are clicked on, how many of the links out to the projects are clicked on between Google Analytics and this tool. This is the click heat maps. You can see how popular each of the clicks are. The other thing is like it'll do recordings. So you can do up to 3 recordings per page for a site. And so that's also interesting because you can get a live recording of like where people are going. It would probably be less interesting for a portfolio that only has 1 page, but when you have users going and navigating through an entire site, that's helpful to see like the user behavior, to see how they're navigating and getting to different destinations on a site. So, but yeah, so those are, again, so I preface this with none of these are really necessary, but they are helpful and they are good tools that if you get into strictly the web dev side of things, you're probably going to come across at some point. Anyways, the third one here, trackable phone number in Google Voice. Again, not required. It complicates things, but having some VoIP number, some throwaway numbers, because you're posting stuff, or might like post a number on your resume or even on the site. I've never tied those numbers directly to my number. I've always had throwaway or Google Voice numbers because I'm basically throwing those numbers out there and saying, hey, yeah, you can contact me like this, but I don't want to have to like actually change my number if somebody like gets my number that I don't want to have or won't stop calling me, type of thing. And so that's like the second benefit is if you give recruiters this number and then you just want to blow off a recruiter or you're done or whatever, you can just basically like, instead of saying lose my number, bro, you can just kind of throw the number away and now they don't know how to get a hold of you. Because some recruiters are just like more bothersome than they're worth. Not all of them. Most of them are okay, but sometimes they get annoying. So yeah, that's in the marketing world. We would use these temporary or throwaway numbers actually as trackable. We'd track them. So you'd basically take a number, put it on in different marketing materials, put one on the site, and these would all be different phone numbers. And then when people made calls into your business, we would track what phone numbers they were calling into your business on, and that would tell us where they got that number from, because all these different public facing things had a different phone number that all led back to the business. We'd be able to say, like, hey, this is where you're getting the largest like volume of your client base, because they're all dialing this number, and we use this number like on the website ideally would be the thing. Or we had some clients that like really liked billboards still, so we throw a different number up on a billboard and see like how much like actual leads or traction they got out of that number, type of thing. So that's another aspect. If you feel like getting like a half dozen numbers and putting one on your LinkedIn and one on your resume and one of your, I've done it. It's, again, super complicated, but it's interesting. And then LinkedIn. I'd say of all of these, well, the first two are pretty easy to accomplish, but LinkedIn's kind of like the round out your professional development. It's great to have the portfolio. It's even better if your entire online presentation matches. So going into, I'll bring up mine, although as I told Patrick, like, do as I say, not as I do. Because mine's not the greatest, but I don't know. I mean, it still works. So I still get a decent amount, between 30 or 50, 30 to 40 views a week on it. But yeah, having like using this title, I just have mine boring, but some people can put like, you can actually use that heading statement as something that actually get like engineer, developer looking for like these types of roles, or use it to like kind of define sort of if you were asked to kind of describe yourself in a sentence type of thing, you know, value oriented, goal oriented, or like when you have proven things, it's like, you know, revenue defining, I don't know, just some phrase that is eye catching ideally would go there. The about typical thing. I'd say that probably the most important, and what Patrick and I went through and revamped with his, was just making sure that those projects that are on your portfolio, like there's an opportunity to link that stuff to experience on your LinkedIn. LinkedIn allows you to set like open for work, and like there's a whole recruiter side of LinkedIn that will search people looking for specific jobs in specific areas, and they'll reach out to you. So having your experience and skill sets and projects linked down here and defined, and also linking out to your portfolio, just kind of brings it full circle, and is a good idea. Again, these I'd focus on the same thing when you're like writing your descriptions on your projects, like what you did, the value. Right now, how did we word it on yours, Patrick? It was, what did you put all your projects pretty much under? Or how did you format yours? I guess you could probably talk a little bit more about this, because you kind of, with how you did yours. You're still on mute.
I muted myself because my cat was making a weird meowing noise. All right, are you talking about how we grouped them under the freelancing job?
Is that how I didn't want to speak for you because I wasn't exactly sure what you ended up going with, but yeah, that's what I was referring to. I just wanted you to kind of give your anecdotal piece on how we restructured yours.
I mean, yeah, that was pretty much it. Basically, I created one job, and it was my quote unquote freelancing job. And then I put all of my projects under that specific job. And then anywhere else you were employed afterwards. So I ended up working for this new company, Leveling Up. So now I added that. And if I wanted to, I could add projects specifically to that job that I worked at too.
Right.
And it yielded results. I've had 3 recruiters in the past month reach out to me. So.
Yep. Cool. So I don't want to like berate this point because I'm not like a super LinkedIn aficionado, but I know it's worth something to at least have it look put together and have a presence there. I don't spend a ton of time on Mindo these days. So kind of like do as I say, not as I do type of in there. But yeah, that was sort of my like quick list of ways that you can kind of take the portfolio to another level and get some additional just value out of it and make it work for you by having those metrics and stuff in place so you can see the value of this work and hopefully have it as a tool that works for you by ultimately landing you a position or landing you work. That contact form is super valuable because there is a chance, if you're not like pushing it, there's a less chance, but there is always a chance that somebody would come across and want to reach out to you with an opportunity, whether it's freelance or a job or something like that. So that's why I would definitely have some way for people to contact you through the site. Typically it's not going to be used by like a recruiter or a job if you were to like submit this on a job application. But yeah, what questions do you have, George? Or does this sound good? Or really about anything, since you're the...
Yeah, no, it's yeah, I know you have to. I've been wanting to get a portfolio site up because, you know, we're nearing that point in the curriculum where like, all right, like we kind of have to start applying to places now. At least I feel that way because, you know, we've gotten through back end and front end and we're going to continue building on those things. But I think I'm at a point now where I'm, you know, soon I'll be applying to actual places and I want to make sure I have a place where, you know, I can design myself and share the information that I wanna share. But I don't think the boot camp itself. I'm with Springboard. They're not necessarily like, or maybe I haven't gotten there yet, but they're not necessarily at this point pushing us to get a portfolio. So I'm glad I was able to do that on my end. But they are definitely pushing the LinkedIn networking aspect to it, right? So they want us to be, and I'm using it. They're not telling us that we have to get premium, but they're very much encouraging us to get LinkedIn premium for those reasons that, like you were mentioning, that there are recruiters on there.
LinkedIn Premium is not, you don't need LinkedIn Premium. So what I've had it, I spent a year's worth of money on it at like $35 a month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the only thing that it allows you to do, in my opinion, is message people who aren't direct connections.
Yeah.
And that for the price, like, I don't know, like there is a part of like LinkedIn Learning, I think, that you get access to. I never used that. So there is a little bit more of the value prop there, but the core, there's nothing that, in my opinion, LinkedIn doesn't already offer that would require you to spend $35 a month to get access to.
Right.
There are other ways to get a hold of somebody if you really wanted to reach out to somebody that you found through LinkedIn. There's some other way to reach out to them, I guarantee it, than paying $35 just to send them a LinkedIn message that they're probably going to ignore. Maybe not, but but I don't think it's going to be worth $35. That chance that they're probably going to ignore it, I don't think it's worth $35. So
yeah, that's been my case. Like I've definitely gotten more ignores than responses, but the ones I have gotten 2 responses from there, and it's been through that messaging feature, you know. And
yeah,
the thing is, like, I'm happy that I got those responses from people, and I'm not sure, you know, how far they will go or if they're worth that extra. I forget, yeah, like $30 a month.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's not cool that they don't let you message people. Because that's really the thing I wanted for. It's not. I never use the learning tool that they have.
Yeah,
I haven't even checked it out, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was my experience, and like I said, I had it for a year. I used it every once in a while, but I haven't missed it. Let's just put it that way. Like I haven't had it in probably a year.
Yeah.
And I haven't missed it. So it is what it is. But yeah, the networking is super important.
Cool. And then some of the things that you mentioned, you said, what was the name? I'm looking at the bullet points that you have. It's the analytics one, but not the Google one. It's one that had the heat map.
Hotjar.
Hotjar. Yeah. So you said these are free?
Yep.
Okay. And I just how do I link my website to them? You said script tag?
Yep. Hotjar will also provide you a JavaScript tag, and you just paste that into your header right above or below, or in the same area that you're going to post your analytics. I think, or it might actually tell you to put it at the bottom. The difference is, so analytics you want to have at the top because that script you want to run as soon as the page loads. Mm-hmm. Hotjar might actually insist that you run it last, so that the page is loaded by the time it runs because it's tracking. Either way, where they give you the script, they tell you where to add it on the page. So, okay. And it's just going to be a script that you just copy and paste, and yep.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll definitely be doing that. Just, it's a good for web development purposes, it's a good tool to be able to it's a good skill to hone, and be able to showcase that, oh yeah, this is how successful you were. This is how you can measure the metrics around your website.
Yep. And it's a great thing to bring up if you're in an interview for a web developer job, to say, oh yeah, I also have experience with analytics and user tracking, and I understand the value in those things and how to tie those back to business goals, because that's essentially what you're doing. Like you're your own stakeholder in this case. You're like, how do I make my portfolio better? How do I make sure that users are interacting with this and people are visiting the things that I want them to visit and see? And you're using this data to feed the decisions. That's super important. And so, as I said at the beginning, as you start to iterate on this, bringing that data, that knowledge from that data you're going to have after running and getting this site out there and getting some eyes on it, is going to help you make informed decisions about, oh, do I move this here? Do I move this here? Do I change this? Why aren't people clicking on this, but they're clicking on this one, type of thing.
Yeah.
It can be silly things like the thumbnails, like, oh, this one looks more interesting. So maybe it's just, let's figure out a more interesting thumbnail. Like, those are real things that we're applying them to kind of a silly example because we're just talking about a portfolio, but it is a real thing in the world if you were to kind of extrapolate this to other areas. So
yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's all I had planned this evening. If there's anything else you want to talk about, JavaScript or career-wise, we can kind of go over into that direction. If not, then we can wrap here.
Yeah, no, it's just currently, like I said, I'm getting that feeling like, all right, it will soon be time to start applying to places, and which is, why I'm glad I'm doing this. But yeah, it's going to be tough. I know, like a lot of people that I've spoken with regarding, within the informational interviews that I've had with some people, they're all just telling me that it will be tough, that a lot of the positions that are open are receiving a lot of applicants. So I think now is just going to be a time that, if it was always a challenge to get a job without, actual experience, it's going to be even more challenging during these times. But I'm still trying to be as positive as possible.
Yeah, I'd say the key is, like I told Patrick for the longest time, it's like volume. You just have to be consistent and apply. It's like a numbers game. And eventually, I mean, he's been starting to get, I don't want to speak for him, I'll let him talk about his experience, but he's been starting to get some traction on some things and interviews and stuff. So what do you have to say to that, Patrick? Put you on the spot again.
Yeah, that's literally all I've done. I just, at a minimum, I was applying to 50 jobs a day for, I don't know, when did I start? Back in April, maybe March. And at first, it felt like I wasn't making it anywhere. And probably about 2 months ago, it started to pick up. And I don't know, I got my first job already, and
Sweet,
3 or
congrats.
4 in the loop. So
Nice, that's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, the good thing is I do see the job postings coming, right? Like there is a lot of competition out there, and there's a lot of people applying, but they are constantly coming out there, and people are hiring for sure for this at least. So
Mhm.
I'm encouraged in that aspect.
Yeah, yeah, you're right there. I mean, the opportunities don't seem to be slowing down. It's just it's becoming more competitive in the sense that there's just more people entering the market. So and everything is being transitioned to remote. So there's like this weird like void now where are these positions going to stay remote, especially for engineering, or are they going to go back to not? And companies trying to make these types of decisions because a lot of it comes down to, Patrick had an opportunity like this where they were going to offer, oh, you can be remote now, but when all this life goes back to normal, you're going to have to relocate to, what was it, Colorado or something like that? It was
A couple different ones.
yeah.
Georgia, Colorado, North Carolina are the ones I've been getting offered.
Yeah. So it's, opportunities like that, at least for where we're at. There's not a ton where you're at, George. There's probably a lot more opportunity without you having to necessarily relocate. But it's opportunities like that where it's, oh, the jobs are available and they're currently hiring remote, which means that you could take the job. But then as soon as things go back to normal, you got to start thinking about, well, now I got to relocate type of thing. So there's that factor as well as these openings are opening up.
Yeah, and I guess I'm very much open to relocating wherever it may be. The most important thing right now for me is advancing in this career, and getting a foot in, and just later on I can be picky about where I want to live. But like right now I'm just like, dude, put me in Kansas. No offense to Kansas, but whatever. Like just in general, like anywhere in the country, just I'm completely willing to do all that, and I think that puts me in a good position at least.
It does. It's certainly not going to be. You wouldn't have to say no. You just kind of leave yourself open to the right opportunity, and the opportunity to say yes. Um, yeah, as I don't know, like I have to tell a lot of people around here because we live, so Erie's located sort of between 3 major cities, located between Cleveland, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Buffalo, New York, and so we're about an hour and a half to 2 hours from any single one of those cities. But the cost of living here is like a fraction of the cost that it is in any one of those cities. And what a lot of people who grow up in these areas don't realize is when you relocate because they offer you substantially more, but the cost of living triples or quadruples, what you're actually taking home is less than if you took a position around here. So that's just, as you start to look, maybe I'm telling you things you already know, but I also deal with a lot of people who this is a completely new concept. As you start to look at opportunities across in different regions, looking at like the cost of living versus what they're offering, and where if moving to like Kansas is a better option than something else you have on the table. So it's always something to consider.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm applying mostly to, the places I'm looking, as far as like where the jobs are and all that, is mostly the bigger cities, because that's where I type in a keyword and like 20 results pop up for places that they're hiring in the last like week or so. But like I said, the actual location doesn't matter too much. And even I don't know how down, like I really, like later on I will have to start paying attention as far as like salary wise and how much I should be aiming to get paid. And that's a whole different conversation and stuff. And I think the curriculum gives us some orientation with that. But again, that's something that I'm also personally flexible with, but I know I shouldn't be lowballing myself either.
Yeah. feel like I could do a, not necessarily a workshop, but a rant on that topic as well. One of these nights, and just gonna like, all right, tonight's the salary rant. Let's go talk numbers, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's a big magical 8 ball most of the time, and yeah. So, how's Chip doing?
Tired. I'm doing though, getting through it. You know.
Yeah.
I've didn't get to really work on my portfolio a whole lot this past week or whatever. Just between life and school and everything. I don't know. Just sitting here trying to plug that away a little bit while y'all was talking, but because with like COVID and stuff, the kids' daycare is not very stable, and then like I'll have to kind of pick up the slack and try to watch them as I go to school or whatever. So that happened on yesterday or whatever. So luckily today they were able to go, but still it was awesome. Like first thing in the morning, like we're about to walk out the door to go to daycare or whatever. Then Mama Bear calls me up and said, "Hey, daycare just called. They can't go because they have teachers out, blah, blah, blah." So that was cool. And then like we no more than hung up the phone and the power goes out. So I was like, cool, that's what's up. But luckily it was like just like a 5-10 minute little outage or whatever. I'm sure it was just like, because it was like the block was out or whatever, that your like couple blocks was out. So I think it was just like a maintenance thing or something like that. But yeah, so yesterday was fun. I'm still kind of trying to recover from that, trying to wrangle 4 kids while Zooming and trying to pay attention to lessons and stuff. But other than that, yeah, just kind of breaking into React here. It's pretty cool. I'm definitely digging it. I want to I have it set up right now to do a static site for my portfolio, but I definitely want to transition that to React at least. I don't know if there would be a better option for me, but I mean, it kind of makes sense in my head that like I'm working with React right now, or I'm learning React, so I might as well like have a side project that is React. I don't know if that is tangible, but whatever.
That works. How do you feel your comprehension of React is? Because one of my concerns that I've been vocal about with it is making sure folks have enough JavaScript experience and understand the fundamentals enough that they're not getting confused by certain things that React does or why React does things in a certain way. So I'm curious how you feel about it, and if you feel like you've been prepared well enough to tackle it.
I'm fairly confident. I mean, it's literally, I mean, I'm in week 2 of it. I probably could have done more preparation, but that week off was really nice. So it was like hard to push myself back into study mode. But I mean, as far as my JavaScript understanding, like I'm pretty confident. I mean, obviously I'm not like, I feel like I'm still like at an intermediate level, but I mean, probably maybe not even that, but I mean, my understanding of like the event loop and stuff, and like how like React like kind of goes off of that, or like does things, and like with a set state or whatever, like going through that issue or whatever that you helped me with, it really. That kind of showed me like the batching or whatever. Like it kind of like, I don't fully understand it by any means, but it definitely kind of gave me a sneak peek of like what to be looking for. And I don't know. And as we're just starting to get into like life cycle things and whatnot. So like that is really gonna, I think in the next week or 2, I'll definitely get a better grasp of things. But I mean, as far as like the like basic layout of like creating components and then calling components within other ones to like create things and make things happen. Like I get that. Like I get, passing props and using state to manipulate data and everything. So, I mean, I get it, but like super, super green, you know what I mean? So,
yeah. Cool.
But it's cool. It's definitely something that, like I said, I feel like it makes sense for me to have a side project outside of the curriculum or whatever to kind of like tease myself and learn on and whatnot. So I don't know. It's hard to push myself at the end of the day between everything I have to do, because like I literally, my day starts at like 6:37 in the morning, and then usually goes until like midnight, 1 o'clock. So it's pretty tiring. Lots of Monster and coffee.
For sure. So Patrick, do you think we should give these guys a sneak peek of what's coming on Thursday? Because they showed up.
Curious. Yeah, I'm curious. Oh, are we the only two that showed up?
Yeah, George was here. Yeah, George showed his portfolio and got the full treatment. We went through the whole thing. So,
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, this will be immortalized in the recording. But so if anybody gets it, but yeah, should we share what we have in store for Thursday? Patrick's like,
Yeah, why not?
All right.
Look at him smirking there. He's like, okay. Yeah.
So I'll share my screen again because I've planned this thing out. Let's do this. Do this. I'm hoping that people find this interesting. So this is kind of like the what is it when you like take the screening, like you get a group of people and you show it to them, like product testing, beta testing, whatever. So trying to get user feedback in a small sample size. So Jamal messaged me during the last workshop and asked if I wanted to put something together for this upcoming workshop. I messaged Patrick, and Patrick's like, what should we do? Should I break my portfolio site again? And I was like, that is a great, awesome idea. Like, let's do that. But let's take it way over to the level of unnecessary and, like, build this whole, basically a script / play / live demo act on role-playing a disaster scenario. Mm-hmm. So the idea is that we would, like, everybody would be coming into the chat or whatever, and I'd start in on like a very simple problem. We have like an actual coding challenge that we could start on, and then I'd get a ping like this into general chat where it's like, hey, stuff's on fire. And I'd message Patrick and be like, hey, looks like something's going on. You want to hop on a call? And of course we're on Zoom, but then he comes on, he's like, hey, yeah, looks like something's going on. And we just like start talking over the Zoom call as if we're starting to investigate. So then we dial into the, where it is, basically walk through what it would be like to work back from a notification that links to a PagerDuty incident, which is something like this, that basically says like, hey, the server's experiencing a bunch of 500 errors, which would take us to logs. So I've got all these dashboards set up for an actual server that is running, that is monitoring, memory usage, CPU usage, all this stuff. It's also monitoring logging for the server that's running and where things are coming from and all this stuff. So what we'd see is a spike in 502 traffic, a bunch of error logs. Our application, which we have here, would be down, and we go through the process of like logging into the server, resolving that issue, which would then bring up the issue with the application. This app will be broken. We will then go to the source code and identify the last PR that was merged as the problem PR. We would then go into like VS Code or whatever, fix the issue, realize that there were no tests written around the issue, and this would have been caught by if tests had been written for the around this feature, and we write the tests live, then we push and we watch the I'm in the wrong app. We watch the GitHub action, pick it up, and go through the deploy process and deploy it back out to our server. And now we have our app functioning once again, and we've solved the problem, and we resolve the issues, and we end the demo. Like, that's the thing.
That's fantastic. That's for sure. I'm definitely with it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
For sure.
I'll be here for that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I kind of summed it, but that's generally what's going to happen. But yeah, we've got it's a fully functioning, fully breaking with all the alerting and everything in place, and it's real. It's just running off of a DigitalOcean droplet. But yeah, it's like it should be like 5 to 10 minutes long, and so it's not. I'm planning on taking up the whole time or being like overly complicated, but my hope is that after you've seen the whole thing in detail and we've gone through the process and the communication, the other thing that I want to add in is automated messaging for like customers and the boss, so that we're getting messages live. Like, again, we're both the idea. So George, when we mentioned earlier about us both being able to share screens, it was for this case because we want people to be able to see both my screen and Patrick's screen because we're going to be working on this together and basically communicating over Zoom. But we're going to make it so that we're getting messages from like the boss or customers, and we have to reply in real time to mitigate risk, to basically like communicate with customers and stakeholders and get an update to our boss about why is it broken, when's it going to get back up, like what's taking so long, type of things. And I've got to script those out so that they happen automatically. So we'll just get pinged every once in a while about, hey, what's going on, what's the ETA, things like that. But yeah, and so hopefully people will have questions about after they see the whole thing, and we can spend the rest of the time diving into any piece of this. This is also a Node app, so the whole thing's been written in JavaScript, so we can dive into that as well. And then if it really goes horrible, I have a code challenge. Oh, don't look at that one. That was the solution. We have a broken code challenge.
That was the solution.
Yeah. We have a broken code challenge, just like we've done before, where there's a problem and then some test criteria, and it's broken, and there's a couple lines that need to be fixed to make it run and output correctly. So if people are really turned off by our demo and it's not sparking very much back and forth, then we can always jump into an actual code challenge like this and talk about it and walk through it together. But yeah, that's the idea. Hopefully people like it. If there's anything you think you'd like to see, let me know now. We'll try and incorporate it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds eventful.
Yeah, for sure. That is definitely more thorough and thought out than anything that we've ever done. For sure. That it's anytime we're like 20 minutes till, like, oh, hey, what are we gonna do? Like, shit, I don't know. Like, let's go over something.
Yeah.
No, I'm stoked for sure. That's what's up.
Cool. I think it'll be fun. I'm gonna have fun doing it. I had this idea, and I think Patrick thinks I'm a little crazy, but I was like, nope, we're gonna do this. So I spent most of this last weekend putting everything together so that it will run. But yeah, hopefully it goes well. So there you go. There's your sneak peek. Don't tell anybody. It'll ruin the illusion.